Hi, good morning, everyone. How are you all? Good? So it's funny because when you're having a marketing conference, you gather together marketers, people who like to talk, and you're asking them to listen. So bear with me. I'll ask you guys if you have any questions later on, and then you guys can talk. But for the next 15, 20 minutes, if you could give me some of your time, that would be fantastic. All right, so this used to be so much easier when we would just use paper instead of iPads. But I have to keep with the times. We're talking about reputation management. Gen Zs would cancel me if I were using paper. But generally speaking, who am I? What am I doing here? First things first, I want to greet the people who organized this event today. Of course, I want a special shout out to Jatin, who has been very patient with me. I'm from the Philippines. Reached out to me, cold call, internet, saw I was doing something interesting, asked me to come here and speak before you today. If not for him, I wouldn't be here today, so thank you so much. Round of applause for the organizers, please. And of course, Saurabh, thank you so much also for being patient with our team and coordinating with us. See, event organizers, blood, sweat, and tears, panic attacks the night before, they really deserve our warm appreciation. So thank you guys. And of course, all of you guys, thank you for being here. I know I got the morning session, which means I get less people. But I also get the people who really care about the topic, which is why I actually prefer the morning session. That, and I get my afternoon. But generally speaking, before anything else, I also want to thank my business partners who flew in from the Philippines just to be with me today and to be here with you guys. So first off, of course, Robin Garcia, chairman of WRN. It's a polling company, data analytics. Cleve, who is the CEO and president of said company. Leo, who is an expert in ad tech and runs a company called Clutch Media Tech. The Wonder Woman of our company, my COO, Faye Abrihan. And of course, the most fun guy in our group, Jeric Santos, president of A3 Group of Companies, 360 Digital Marketing. He's the fun one because he runs the events, right? So if you do any events, he's the guy. So, all right, wait, let's go back. All right, great. So, before I start, I want to ask you guys, you don't have to give me a specific number, but those below the age of 30. Below the age of 30. Okay, cool. Between the ages of 30 to 40. Okay. Those who are young at heart. All right. Okay, great. Business owners. Okay. Marketers. Okay, great. Asia. Specifically Southeast Asia. Okay, South Asia. East Asia. Okay, the reason why I asked all of that is because data is important. I need to understand you guys as an audience so I don't waste your time also. Many of you are business owners and marketers, so I'm not going to go into the things that you already know, right? Of course, I have a speech written, but when I talk about certain points, I want to be able to talk about them on a level that we understand because you are executives, you are experts in your field, and I need to respect that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Poe Llamanzares, CEO of A-Team 360, and today I'll be discussing the pivotal role of reputation management in the 21st century for marketing strategy. All right? And why are we called A-Team 360? Because we're the auxiliary team that does 360 reputation management. Auxiliary team because most likely you as business owners, you already have your own marketing team. Or you as a marketing group, you already have your own assets. We fit into what you need, right? And that also means a lot of stress on my part. But generally speaking, In this era of interconnectedness, reputation plays a crucial role in a brand's success. As marketers, we understand that maintaining a positive image in the hearts and minds of our audience is not just essential, it is the very essence of survival. As we dive into reputation management, it's important to understand that the core factor that shapes how others see us or what we do is called our digital footprint. So in this day and age, every content, comment, swipe, or online transaction contributes to our digital footprint. And you guys already know this. But the digital footprint acts as a window into your character, your values, and brand integrity, influencing how others may perceive you. And businesses must carefully manage their digital presence to attract potential clients. And now let's lay down some facts. So basically, a UK agency called Bright Local found that 76% of consumers read online reviews when browsing local businesses, emphasizing the importance of positive reviews for customer attraction. And trust me, I know you guys have your own businesses, but the number of people that I've worked with who ignore the comment section of their businesses, it's astounding. They don't really take the time to see what people actually think of their product. A lot of times, as business owners, we get lured into the trap of thinking our product is the best, right? And if people are attacking me, it's because they're competition and they're trying to neg me. They're trying to detract from my business. But the reality is, you have to listen to all sides, right? So background real quick about why I'm even in this business to begin with. Shocker, my family's actually in politics. So if we're talking about reputation management, your business problems is a political fart for us. On a daily basis, the amount of pros and cons that politicians have to deal with is astounding. So when we have to deal with reputation management in the private sector, it becomes so much easier. Usually, there's only one major issue a company has to face in a quarter that goes public. But a politician on a day-to-day basis, they always deal with these things. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because in politics, there's a temptation to not read the comments because troll farms and being attacked, etc. Business is same thing. But I never unfollowed anyone that I disagreed with. Why? Because it gives me insight into the way that they're thinking. What they think, you may not agree with, but that doesn't mean that it's not valid to them, right? So you have to understand their mindset, and that's why it's very important that you understand that 76% of consumers do read those reviews. Meanwhile, review trackers shows that 94% of consumers avoid businesses due to bad reviews. And this seems like common sense, but I'm just putting it out there in case you didn't know this. All right, so let's move on to the next part of the presentation. Let's talk about the rise of what I call rock star CEOs. You know, the age of social media is the most interesting thing. With the advent of social media, AI, outsourcing, logistics on fire, anyone, anywhere can basically start their own business, their own firm. Unlike before, where if you didn't know anyone, you wouldn't be able to start your own business. Things have completely changed. That also means the way that businesses are managed in terms of their reputation has also changed. And that's why we now have what I like to call rockstar CEOs. Personalities like Ryan Reynolds and Rihanna have amassed huge online followings by maintaining a good online persona. Not just for their own image, but the companies and brands they own and operate. In the same manner, brands like Patagonia and Chipotle have built and maintained strong online followings through authenticity and transparency, or at least what we would like to believe is authenticity and transparency. So let's delve into each of them. Unlike what many people may think, Ryan Reynolds isn't a millionaire because of his showbiz career. He's actually a super millionaire because of his business and marketing insights. So Ryan Reynolds, who has a net worth of $350 million, believes that raising awareness is the greatest asset for marketing. Aside from acting, he has made strategic investments and ventured into multiple business sectors, showcasing his entrepreneurial spirit. So through his creative marketing executions, Reynolds has shaped perception, built anticipation, and connected with his audience. His ability to generate ad virality has allowed him to reach a broader demographic and ultimately generate organic interest and engagement. His personal brand equity and reputation has definitely helped him close amazing deals in his many business ventures. Mint Mobile, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. Who's familiar with Mint Mobile? All right, so I guess you weren't targeted by his ad company. But Mint Mobile it's like a boutique mobile company. And eventually, Ryan Reynolds, through his marketing, was able to build up the following of Mint Mobile users. And over time, was able to build up enough users and enough brand traction to get the attention of a bigger company called T-Mobile. So T-Mobile went on to buy Mint Mobile for $1.3 billion. He's not just an actor, he's an entrepreneur. But he's not just an entrepreneur, he's a marketer. So he sold his gin company. I don't know, who here drinks gin and tonics? Gin and tonics? All right, so it's just my team and a few other people raising their hand. We're in events. Anyway, so the reason why I asked this because, are you familiar with the company Aviation Gin? Okay, so Aviation Gin was a small gin company that no one really noticed before. And then Ryan Reynolds comes in, rebrands the entire company, flips it for $610 million, right? And so he realized that he needed to really invest in his marketing ability. So he didn't in-house his marketing for, let's say, Mint Mobile or for Aviation Gin. No, what he did was he went on to make his own marketing agency called Maximum Effort. All right? Now, Maximum Effort is currently valued at $10 million because of all it's been able to do. And are you familiar with why it's called Maximum Effort? Anyone watch Deadpool? Maximum effort, guys. It's what Deadpool says when he gets... Anyway. Okay, I can see my audience. This is why market research is so important. But generally speaking, Deadpool was an interesting story in and of itself. Because Deadpool was basically media executives saying, all right, Ryan, just run with it. Produce it and do the script and do everything on your own. And if it makes it great, it ended up being such a smashing success. And because he was the one who produced it and everything, he raked in most of the benefits from it. And that's kind of where you see how maximum effort in marketing turns into greater yields in business. Sorry I spent so much time here. He's my idol, married to Blake Lively and basically an asset billionaire. So of course, aside from Ryan Reynolds, you also have Chipotle. So remember, rockstar CEOs, but there are also rockstar brands. So sometimes it's not the CEO that's the face of the company. You see the company as a whole. And sometimes this is for the better because sometimes your CEO might not be the best person to front your company. And that's not saying anything. It's just the fact that some people aren't meant to be at the forefront of their company. So Chipotle was able to brand themselves by raising awareness as their greatest asset. And one prime example of this is their marketing message to be visible, relevant, and loved, emphasizing its commitment to being present, relevant, and loved by their consumers. This focuses on the relevance and reflects Chipotle's commitment to staying attuned to the evolving needs and preferences, adapting menu offerings, and addressing social and political issues to remain relevant to its target audience which leads to genuine consumer love and loyalty towards their brand. So being relevant in the issues of today's political sphere or social sphere is becoming more and more important for making sure that your brand is relevant, even if you're in an industry like food, right? It may seem very detached from your day-to-day issues, but at the end of the day, it is part of your branding. So another example, and we're going back to the rock stars, and what better than an actual rock star herself, Rihanna. And the thing is, I'm bringing up Rihanna because, well, if we're going to talk about billionaires, let's talk about this one. Another example of how an individual can leverage his or her good reputation is Rihanna. She strategically promoted her fashion and beauty ventures, including her makeup brand, Fenty Beauty. Who here uses Fenty? All right, thank you for making her a billionaire. And I'm not going to ask this one, and her lingerie line, Savage X Fenty. By creating awareness and innovating marketing campaigns strategically backed by customer feedback and inclusive messaging, right? So again, reading the comments and understanding what people need and relating to them, right? So in her recent Super Bowl halftime performance, she was able to generate $5.6 million in media impact value for Fenty Beauty and $88.3 million in media impact value for her personal brand, all within 12 hours, right? Because you have to realize that at the end of the day, your brand is actually money. The money that goes into your brand reputation and management, the money you spend on marketing, the hours you will never get back, that can all be quantified into your media impact value, right? So now Fenty has doubled its revenue, and Rihanna has invested it into different startups such as Partake Foods, which sells allergen-free cookies, so people with dairy allergies like me get to appreciate it, and TheraBody, which is a maker of a massage device, TheraGun. So lastly, let's talk a little bit about Patagonia. And this, I just really wanted to bring this into the story because it is a fantastic company, and it tackles a very relevant issue, which is sustainability and climate change. So lastly, we have Patagonia, which is a well-known brand in the outdoor equipment industry. How many of you have gear from Patagonia? All right, wrong audience. But it's still important that you know what they're doing because they're selling more than $1 billion in outdoor clothing and gear, bringing in $100 million in revenue a year. Patagonia's founder is donating the ownership of the brand to align with his core values. And that just makes a lot of our consumers more loyal to it because they realize that the founder is an authentic person, right? So aside from that, he's also donating 100% of the voting stocks of Patagonia to Purpose Trust, which was created to protect the company's values, and 100% of the non-voting stock has been given to Hold Fast, a collective which is a non-profit dedicated to fighting the environmental crisis and defending nature. However, as we all know, it's not always sunshines and rainbows. When we talk about online reputation management, it is a double-edged sword. And, well, of course, the most recent example of this is the Kanye West Adidas split, which rocked the sneaker world. Who's familiar with what happened here? Okay, great. But do we know how much money was lost in this epic battle? Yeah. Oh, we have one person. For the benefit of everyone else in the room, aside from the one person, thank you for doing your research. This is great. Is the fact that the company actually lost about $540 million. And right now, it's because of all the unsold Yeezy products. Adidas is projecting an overall loss of $771 million for the year 2023. So in retrospect, this incident highlights the importance of understanding the potential impact of one's words and actions on public perception, which leads us to another example. Elon Musk. So, how many of you are familiar with Elon Musk? Guys, why isn't every hand in the room raised? We're talking about the world's richest man. We're talking about the guy who's trying to send us to Mars, which I still don't understand. We have a perfectly functioning Earth. I'm not sure why we want to go to a desolate Mars. Mars is what happens when climate change totally wrecks the planet, right? So we're going to go there and fix that instead of... Anyway. So the reason why I brought up Elon Musk is because his Twitter play was so interesting. Basically, it caused so much backlash for him, resulting in a series of heated tweets leading to the deal. This resulted in Musk firing longtime executives and laying off nearly half of the employees. The tech deal has increased hate speech online, prompted mass resignations, and left Twitter basically empty-handed. Twitter significantly declined in value since Elon Musk purchased the asset for $44 billion. The platform is now valued at, anyone want to take a guess? Is it on my slide? No, it's not. Guess? Anyone? No? $20 billion. He halved the company on his own. And it's just because he was saying and doing things that he didn't have to do. But again, reputation management, it costs money, right? So this goes to show how strategic planning is crucial to maintaining a positive public image, especially in the face of unexpected situations. So on the other hand, let's go back to something nice. How many of you buy from H&M? All right, cool. So H&M has this campaign called Let's Close the Loop, right? It was launched in 2013 as a way to address the environmental impact of the fashion industry. So basically, as a major player in the retail sector, H&M recognized the importance of addressing these concerns and took proactive steps to promote recycling and waste reduction. The campaign has evolved and grown since then, promoting sustainability through information dissemination, influencer marketing, PR. In the Philippines, H&M's Close the Loop campaign gained popularity through its garment collection initiative, which basically allows people to exchange their old clothes for a 15% discount voucher. All right, so I'm going to just breeze through this because I actually only have 2 minutes and I really want to get your questions. Basically, what is reputation management? The previous speaker, she talked a lot about branding, but it basically involves actively monitoring and influencing how people perceive you and your brand online. By being proactive online, crafting a compelling social media content, and addressing any negative information, you present the best possible version of yourself and your brand. So here are some key practices to maintaining a good online reputation. So first is getting the data right. First thing I did when I stepped up here was to ask for your data. Next is to maintain your social media presence. For many of you brand owners or marketing executives, you already know this. This is actually very important, and I tell this to people all the time, and I want to spend a little bit of time on this. No response is a response. Actively managing your social media presence is crucial in reputation management. But this statement in particular is very important for business owners. Why? Because people who aren't used to being exposed to controversy normally have a tendency to immediately try to react and address it. But sometimes you need to slow down, take some time, breathe, analyze, and then react, right? The number one thing that sets aside an amateur boxer from a professional boxer is an amateur boxer gets hit and wants to hit back right away. A professional boxer gets hit, waits, times, and gets the perfect punch, right? That's how you want to handle your reputation management. Sometimes it's best not to say anything at all. You know, one problem that I always run into with clients is they will come to me, they'll say, Brian, I have an issue. I'm going to do a full media blitz on this. We're going to have a press con. We're going to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, where did they attack you? And then they go, well, there was this social media post that went viral. And then I go, so you're going to do a press con where most of your target audience isn't present. You're going to invite TV, you're going to invite radio, you're going to invite major broadsheets, which didn't pick it up yet, right? And now you're going to invite entire audiences that were not present at all into the discussion. And now their first impression of you is, you did something wrong, right? Addressing it in the proper space at the proper time is good reputation management. You don't always need to say something, right? So if you forget everything from my speech, just remember that, because maybe one day it'll help you. Sorry, I have a few minutes left. Could I? Okay, cool. So how do we adapt in the 21st century landscape when consumers hold immense power to shape perception through social media? To thrive in this landscape, we must embrace change and leverage digital channels and emerging technologies. Having seen the challenges faced by brands, it's clear that effective reputation management strategies are more crucial than ever, one that covers 360 degrees of the digital arena. So of course, you need to survey your market and understand and analyze how you can effectively speak to them. You need to amplify your message across the digital space, reaching a wider audience. Effectively control the narrative through the right PR channels. So important. The number one problem of a lot of startups is they dump all their money in marketing. They're like, yeah, I need influencers. Sometimes you don't, right? Sometimes you just need to have a nice podcast. Sometimes you just need to be at forums like this one. It depends on your clients. Don't waste your money. I did it. My watch company almost went under because I spent so much money on marketing campaigns I didn't understand. But I thought it was relevant. I thought I needed to be in fashion shows. I thought I needed to have a bunch of influencers holding my watch, right? But that's not necessarily what you have to do. So again, this is super important. And then crafting an effective marketing campaign to amplify your message to your audience is super important. So take your time with that. And obviously, that's why I created the A-Team 360 group, which is a company that provides key elements and services for reputation management in the digital arena. More than branding and social media marketing, of course, we want to help clients understand how market research and communication strategies, down to conceptualization and execution, affects their reputation as a whole. With more companies diving into new opportunities in the digital space, crisis management specifically, became one of the services that we wanted to champion. And of course, I told you about why we're called A-Team 360, because we are an auxiliary team providing tailored strategies that address specific pain points faced by individuals and businesses as a whole. So I'm just going to run through it real quick. WRN, of course, public opinion research, the data analytics and technology-driven approach to data gathering, polling, and market studies. Clutch Media, which has proprietary ad tech solutions for revolutionizing advertising on social media platforms. A3, which has the expertise to elevate your brand's presence through event production, key opinion leader campaigns, and creative digital marketing. And lastly, Oracle Media Group, which is a multifaceted PR firm and media holding company which owns 5 publications, including, well, the Philippines, our country's most distributed magazine, Rising Tigers. So these key elements of reputation management, data gathering, social media, digital advertising, 360 creative marketing, and traditional media are all present. And why did I create this company? Because I got so tired of watching good people and good organizations lose everything because they weren't able to protect their reputation. Our firm has turned away many clients because we believe in building the brands of people and businesses that can potentially do good in the world. I mean, of course, that's my vision. That's why I implore all of you to consider reputation management services. Ultimately, these powerhouses will give you proper data to pivot and deliver a sound campaign with your message and amplify your message to reach a wider audience and give you control over your digital footprint, right? So it doesn't have to be A-Team 360, but do please consider for your companies contracting, or even for the marketers, building a 360 reputation management agency. Because in today's day and age where social media is king, your reputation management services could be essential to the next billionaire. But if you do want to consider our company, just so you know, we're the leading exporters of creative output in the world, generating $4.2 billion of creative revenue. Philippines, guys, if you need creatives, we got it. But definitely, we want to be able to help deliver tangible reputation-related results. So with that, thank you for your time. I just want to end with this last statement. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Think about that, and you'll do things differently. Thank you for your time, and we at A-Team 360 look forward to working with you and your brand. Thank you very much, everyone. Sorry, questions? I'm gonna move here so it's.
Does anybody have some questions?
Hello.
I think everything went well. They don't have any questions.
No one has questions? Come on. Yes.
All right, it takes 20 years to build and 5 minutes to get ruined, and sometimes some unfortunate events do happen, right?
Of course, yes.
So how would you help clients to rebuild a ruined brand through online reputation campaign?
That's a good question. It also depends on how the brand was ruined. Is it completely unsalvageable? I don't believe that, a brand is completely unsalvageable. We as people generally want to forgive people for things. I would like to believe in the good in people, and I would like to believe that we all have that tendency. But how we get there is a good question, right? The first thing that I tell people who, get their reputations ruined, I guess, or besmirched is, why didn't you call me earlier? That's the first question. It should have never gotten to that point in the first place. If your reputation is ruined, that means that XYZ had happened before that happened, and you didn't have a team in place to protect you from it. If you have your own company, if you are a billionaire, a millionaire, a thousandaire, a person with your own business, it's very important to know who you can call before this even happens. But let's say it does happen. What do? Take a deep breath. It's not the end of the world. A lot of people think that it's the end of the world. Who here watched Wolf of Wall Street? Thank you. Now I can go home. Now, Wolf of Wall Street's a really good example. The CEO of that fund totally ruined his life, went to jail, lost everything, lost custody of his kids, lost his wife. Years pass, but the hustle never ended, right? He never stopped trying to rebuild his reputation, never stopped trying to be a marketer for himself. Eventually landed himself a sweet movie deal, right? And turned his brand around. And yes, while we all brand him as the Wolf of Wall Street, and he's a negative guy and whatever, can't help but see all the hands that were raised in the room when I asked who watched this movie. And suddenly, it's not as bad as it was, right? That's important for you to know. It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but I always advise my clients that one day, if you keep at it, you will have a second chance. But if you quit today, it's over, right? So that's the first thing, acceptance. Knowing that you made a mistake, and now I have to start again. And don't quit, right? And also contract a reputation management firm. But if you don't have money, if you're a good company, I'll think about it. Generally, does anyone else have any other questions? Yes, sir.
Justin, you mentioned just now that sometimes the power is in staying silent in the face of negative reviews and comments and things like that. Do you guys have a set of guidelines or things that you look out for when you decide whether to stay silent or to react?
That's a really good question. May I ask what your business is?
Sure, I'm in digital marketing.
Digital marketing. Okay, fantastic. So you do your sentiment scans, right? Whenever you're handling
That's right, yeah. And we handle social media accounts for many brands globally. So this is a constant battle for us to decide when we escalate it and do something about it, or when we decide to choose silence.
Right. So, well, personally, when you're looking at a brand or a product or you have a client, what I usually do is I look at how much traction they currently have. Because they already have their own marketing, their own following, etc. Once you start seeing that blip, right? And usually it lasts for a few hours and then it starts dipping. If it doesn't start dipping and it just continues going up, then we obviously have a problem. But that's why having the sentiment scan services is so important. What I usually do is I talk to the client beforehand and I ask them what their threshold is for their reputation management. Some clients will say, oh, I want absolutely nothing negative said about me. And then I tell them, are you a person or a robot? Right? Because the reality is there will always be something negative said about a brand or a person, no matter what, right? So you have to leave a little bit of that negative threshold. But you ask them, what is too much for you? Is 50% negative sentiment too much for you already? Is 60%? Because you have to be, as a digital marketing firm, you have to be KPI based. Because at the end of the day, what they feel is very subjective. What you show them in data is completely different. So if you show them in their scans that, well, you told me your threshold's 50%, we kept it at 50%, and they go, no, I feel that I'm still dying, I'm drowning in negative reputation. Then you say, okay, now I understand your threshold, let's fix it. We'll bring it down to 25%. This is what we need to do to get to that, right? But you always have to consult your client first to ask them what their threshold might be. There's no one set formula because people have different thresholds. Like if you talk to me and you ask me what my threshold for negative sentiment is, I'm a soft guy. If I get like 20, 30% negative sentiment, I hurt, I would like to keep it a bit lower. But I can stomach it until 90% and then call my team and be like, help me, right? But really, you really have to ask what your client's preference is. I wish I could give you a hard number, don't let it reach 75%, don't let it reach 60%. But in reality, sometimes even the negative press could be good for your client. For example, if you're getting attacked, you might have a blip in awareness that never existed before. I'm sorry I'm going to bring this up, but Kim Kardashian, no one knew who she was before those tapes came out. Right? And that became the negative press that ended up propelling her into a series of social controversies, but also what ended up building her brand, right? And eventually her following. Maybe not the best example, but it did help her become a multimillionaire, right? So it depends on you, depends on your client, but ultimately always ask them what their threshold is. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Rob Curlio from Trust IT. So just for a little bit of context, I work with a number of public sector projects for the European Commission. So sometimes maybe a project is not doing too well, for example. We as communicators, we have to understand how to handle it. So at what point do you say that, okay, I have to keep my audience informed frequently about what's going on in the project, even if it's, let's say, negative? And at what point do I want to keep it quiet? So just for context as well, usually a lot of the people that I work with, my audience, so you can consider them sort of B2B engagement, so not really, mass media or something like that. There are a number of organizations that are interested in the outcome of how a project is going. So yeah, how would you approach that?
Okay, I just have to ask a few questions about that. Sure. So when you say you work with the European Union on public projects, right? So these are government projects, basically.
Exactly.
And then your audience is other companies and businesses?
Could be. So, for example, let's say large cloud providers, for example.
Okay.
So, your big names, you have your Google, Amazon, and so on.
Okay. And then what are you trying to achieve? You're trying to achieve public trust, or are you trying to achieve brand partnerships with other organizations?
Let's say we're trying to bring something innovative, something that hasn't been done in the market, and let's say it's gotten into some delays. So let's say in the beginning, a lot was promised, and everyone got excited, right? And oh, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? Yeah. And then suddenly, okay, there are some, because it's something new and innovative, of course, there are some delays that came up. Yeah. And now everyone wants to know, well, what's happening? You just said it's time.
Oh, well, they don't know it's a government project then? No, I'm just kidding. But government projects do have a tendency to go past their time like me. Clearly, I come from government. But when it comes to things like that, I've always believed that for public projects, it's good to be honest with your audience, because at the end of the day, they will fault you more for what you didn't tell them than what you did tell them, especially when it's a public project. Because, like, for example, you could tell them, oh, I'm delayed 2 months, right? And then they'll be like, oh, damn, I won't be able to use that super highway for the next 2 months. I hate you. We'll never vote for you again, right? Or you can not tell them that it's going to take 2 months, and then you have a rally outside in the street and people are saying, why isn't it done? Because you didn't put out the press release saying that it's going to take another 2 months. At least that's the way that I would approach it. A lot of the time when it comes to reputation management, especially for public sector, I tend to lean towards getting ahead of the issue. If you know that the issue is coming, it's a lot better that you control the narrative. So, like, if you know that you're going to be delayed by a year, I would rather have a press con, right? Say, hi everyone, it's going to be delayed a year, but this is why it's being delayed, blah, blah, blah. Because if it comes out from someone else, like another politician investigates the project and says, why has this not been done? It has taken a year, right? At which point you will be like, oh no. Because they're going to do an investigation and they will control the narrative and not you, not your company and your project, right? Because mistakes happen, right? But controlling how people understand that mistake is completely different.
Thanks a lot. We actually, so it's a past project, and
Yeah.
it came out a success in the end, and I'm glad to see that actually our approach was very similar.
correct.
So actually we pushed for more transparency, and in
Good.
the end, of course, the managers of the project was like, oh no, let's not really
Yeah.
talk about it too much.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It
thanks.
doesn't hurt to have a good-looking spokesperson also. People have a tendency to not get as mad, right? You, sir, would be a good spokesperson. All right. So, any other questions? All right. So thank you so much. I asked my team to raise their hands. So if you have any questions specifically for anything, you know who they are in the audience. If you want a good time, call Jarek. All right. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.